Hey, what's up guys? My name is Michael Westbrook and this is week 2 of my course release here on YouTube. A couple of years ago, I created this course. It's all about creating and layering guitar parts. And up until now, that has been a paid course, but I am over the next, 5 more weeks after this video, am moving it all over here on YouTube for free. If you didn't see the first week's, definitely go check it out. I'll link that down in the description. This week's video is all about breaking guitar parts down into 5 different categories. This is a little ambitious, but I think it's a super practical way to think about parts and to kind of help jumpstart your brain in coming up with parts and creating parts that all work together. Now, you might be asking yourself, where are you? Currently, I'm in a meeting room at a hotel in Kansas City. I'm in the middle of a 3-week tour with Crowder. I've been out as a multi-instrumentalist with these guys. We're kind of right in the middle of our busy fall touring season right now. That being said, all of these course videos will be coming out once a week. The intros just might be from somewhere random, somewhere in the US. I'm also hoping to get a vlog done at some point, maybe a video done on the Tonex that I've been using out here on the road. But whatever kind of content you're into, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of the course or any of these other videos I put out. All right, thanks for watching, guys. In this video, we're talking about different types of guitar parts. And I'm going out on a limb here and I'm saying that 99% of parts will fit into one of 5 categories. Now, the reason for doing this is super practical because we can kind of identify what types of parts we have and it gives us a checklist of other types of parts to try. I find that if I have all of one type of part, then maybe I need to vary things up. It's going to be more interesting and it's going to accomplish what we talked about in our first section of giving each part its own unique space. We're going to identify the 5 parts, talk a little bit about what they accomplish, and listen to some example parts that fit within those categories. The first category of part we're going to talk about is what I'm calling sustained parts. These types of parts can make a track feel really full or really big. They can reinforce the harmony of the chords that are present. They also can just leave space for other things to be in the forefront, and they can add a lot of texture and vibe to a track. These parts are great because they're typically really simple to play, but they go a really long way in making something feel good and sound good. Before we go any further, I want to say don't underestimate the whole note. Playing big whole note chords is a great way to make a section feel big and full without having to do much. They're really easy to play and it sounds great. In a live setting, especially unfamiliar live settings, whole notes can be a good way to stay out of the way but still keep playing and add some body to what's happening musically. Our next category is rhythm parts. These are usually played with chords and could be anything from strummed cowboy chords in first position to a driving 8th note power chord type part, or even a higher register funk part using a 2 or 3 note voicing. These not only give us the harmony of the chords of a song, but they also provide a lot of rhythm, as the name insinuates. One thing to think about when playing rhythm parts is try experimenting with playing less notes in your chord. By simplifying your voicings and not playing as many notes, you're going to leave room for other types of parts. This goes back to our first section where we talked about being conscious of what range our parts sit in. By simplifying the voicings of these chords, we can open up kind of a mid-range or our high end for other types of parts and not just fill it up with a rhythm part. next category is one of my favorites. It's picking style parts. These parts are really interesting to me because they can serve in a lot of different roles. They provide a lot of rhythmic content, as well as, if the notes are sustained, a lot of harmonic content. And there also can be melodies within these parts that become a focal point. Because of this, picking parts can serve a lot of different roles within the context of a song. That being said, I think one of my favorite styles of picking parts are ones that are very connected, where you have notes sustaining over one another, and then when notes change, there are common tones that stay in place, and it just creates a part that's very connected and really can sit well in a dense mix. For our fourth type of part, we've got static or drone parts. These could also be considered textural parts. These a lot of times are support parts. They just kind of sit underneath other rhythmic parts. They also can be used to build tension or anticipation in a certain section. The key to these type of parts is focusing on notes that work over all of the chords in a progression. Typically, that's going to be the 1 or the 5 of a scale in the key that you're in. And by kind of focusing on these notes, it's going to allow that part to work over a variety of chords as they pass through in a certain section. Our fifth and final category is melody or signature riffs. Guitar solos would also fall into this. When I'm thinking about these kinds of parts, I'm typically thinking about single note parts or maybe sometimes double stop. These types of parts are making a definitive statement melodically and typically become a focal point. They draw a listener's ear in and are going to be a point of attention for the listener. So we've kind of talked about organizing parts into these 5 categories, and I find for me, it makes layering parts and coming up with parts a lot less intimidating. I'm not trying to think about a million different types of parts I could play. I'm thinking about 5, and I can use this as a practical guide in coming up with new parts and varying my parts and deciding what I should try. As you're listening to music, see if you can pick out parts and put them in one of these 5 categories. Or when you're working on music, think about these 5 categories and see how the parts naturally divide up in them. I think you'll find that most parts are going to fall within one of these categories, and you'll start thinking about it a little more naturally, and it'll become second nature.